Hello, and thanks very much for coming at such short notice this afternoon. My name's Superintendent. I have a brief update. 29 victims of the Pike River mine tragedy, that we have recovered some images from the boreholes that confirm 2 deaths, 2 bodies, and with the possibility of a 3rd body there as well. The images have been reviewed by pathologists, and they're taken from the furthest reaches of the mine, so they're the furthest area in the mine that you could be from the entrance, the portal area, and it's not possible for us to recover them. While we've been unable to identify the remains, we're working with forensic experts to see what we can do to confirm the identities. Based on the investigation that we've done to date, we know that there's 6 to 8 people that were working in that area where the remains have been recovered, or located, sorry. I'd like to acknowledge the support of the agency, Pike River Mine Agency, and the drilling and other experts that have been helping us to date. This is only 2 days away from the 11th anniversary of the mine explosion. And I'd certainly like to acknowledge the families of all the men. It's a really stark reminder of the pain and the loss. But they add to a picture of the investigation, and hopefully they'll go towards adding some answers to the families. Out of respect to the families, and because we've got an ongoing investigation, we won't be releasing copies of the images. The drilling program is ongoing, and it's expected that will be completed by the end of this year. There's a limit of what I'll be able to tell you from questions, but I'm more than happy to take questions.
What does that mean for your forensic work? What can you actually learn from those images without being able to go into that area and recover the bodies?
Well, we've learnt quite a bit in terms of the imagery that we've taken from the boreholes, and that is an ongoing process, so I'm not really going to go into any specifics, but it has been very, very useful for not only our investigation team, but also the experts, the expert team that we've got and assembled that are helping us. So the information we're getting from that has been very, very productive to date.
Can you say exactly where in the mine it is? Is there a specific area?
It's the ABM heading, so the auto bolt miner, which is, as I said, it's at the furthest you could get in the mine away from the entrance portal. So it's at very, very extremity.
So this is one of the new boreholes that you've just been putting down?
Yes. This area has not been had boreholes in it before, so this is the 2nd borehole we'll put into that area in the last month.
We understand you've had these images for some weeks now. When exactly did you get the images?
These images are from late last week, so they're relatively new. The process that we go through of examination with experts is quite extensive. So experts were poring over these images over the weekend. The pathologists had been contacted very late last week, and we only got the information and confirmation this morning. So it's new information.
Can you say anything about the condition of the bodies, Peter?
Well, it's 11 years, so it's what you might expect after 11 years, but I'm not really going to go into any details of what the images show.
Does it look, can you say whether or not this gives you anything further about whether this is the source of the explosion, that the explosion has come from this area?
Well, that's what we're working towards, is establishing where the source of the first explosion is, but it's an ongoing process, and I'm not really prepared at this stage to actually speculate on it, because we've still got an awful lot more work to do before we'll be in a position to make a final decision in respect to that.
And have you still got down this is down camera work that you've seen these images from?
Yes.
So are you still doing further down camera work?
Yes, we've still got more
in the
planned.
other borehole.
So these, this particular borehole will be re-imaged, weather permitting, this week. We'll obviously be taking advice from the experts that are working with us in terms of what they would like us to focus in on that'll help with identification and giving us more information from that particular area. So that's ongoing at the moment, and there will be other imagery taken beyond this right through to the end of the year.
Does the fact that they were there at workstations make it seem more likely they died in the first explosion?
I'm not really prepared to comment on that. That's delving into what we're looking at.
And did the images show evidence of self-rescuers being deployed?
I'm not going to go into that either.
And do you regret that the mine was sealed before the boreholes could be drilled and explored?
No, the process that we've gone through has been extremely helpful. With recovery of the drift has enabled what we're doing now very much with the agency and their support. So, yeah.
Can you just explain how it will help, given you can't get the bodies out?
Well, the imagery is providing us new information and information that we would have not otherwise got because we were never going to be able to go into that part of the mine. So any information that we can get, and the quality of the imagery is really, really good compared to what we've had before. So that is actually assisting us. It's been really, really helpful.
Is that because you've elevated the level of technology for this imaging than
Yes.
what's been done much in the earlier days?
Absolutely. The people that we've had supporting us in terms of that expert side of things and the forensic imaging has been fantastic, and it's like night and day.
How significant a discovery is this for you?
It's not unexpected. So we know that there's 29 men down there, and we are drilling boreholes in areas where we know people were working, so it's not unexpected.
Why has it taken 11 years to get cameras down there in this way, or to make this kind of discovery?
Well, first of all, the technology that we've got now is far in excess of what had happened, or what we had at the beginning of this. Yeah, with the expert advice that we've got, as I said, the recovery of the drift has assisted in focusing on what we need to look at. So, yeah, we're far more precise than we were and had more information following the recovery of the drift than we would have at that early stage. We've got more information that's leading us and pointing us in the directions that we need to go.
Could it not have been done sooner? It seems an obvious area to look.
Possibly, but then I think I'd be speculating if I said that, because the question then is how many boreholes would we have had to have drilled to get to these. It's an awfully big mine and an awfully big area to look at, and old technology, we were lucky if we could see 5 or 10 metres. This is allowing us to see 40 or 50 metres.
Can you describe exactly, I know you can't go into the details around the bodies for obvious reasons, but can you describe exactly what you can see in these images?
Not really, but I can say that they're very, very clear, and we've got exceptional images, better than anyone, the international experts that we are dealing with, better than they've ever seen before.
Are prosecutions a possibility now?
That's speculation. We haven't finished the investigation. I'm not going to go down that track until we've got all the information that we can possibly get.
Do you have a timeline for that investigation? When you might
Well,
finish?
we know we're going to finish with our work at the mine by the end of this year, but I haven't got a timeline for the actual conclusion of the investigation. It's been a very, very long process, and it's been very thorough. So there's a lot of information.
Is there something that you can let us know of what you're trying to reach in terms of when, like, what will signify a conclusion of the investigation?
Not at this stage, no. One more?
Are you going to check the areas again with new cameras, the other boreholes that you've drilled?
As we've gone, each of the boreholes has been imaged and then re-imaged. So we remove the cameras, pass the footage on to expert groups, ask them for what they want us to zero back in on, and then we go back down and re-image. So we've tried to be very, very thorough, but we've only got a certain number of rigs, so we have to move those around as we can, and we close each hole as we've finished with it. So we need to make sure that we've been thorough with our forensic imaging and scanning as we complete each hole.
Do you have any view on the ceiling of the mine? Would you like to find a way to go in there?
No, I have no view on it.
The Royal Commission identified this area as being where 8 men were working. Are you saying you had to wait all this time for technology to prove that?
No, but it's been of assistance for us to have re-entered the drift and used that as the basis for the information that has led us to various areas in the mine. There's a huge number of roadways in there, and we needed to be quite targeted, and the recovery of the drift has allowed us to do that.
Do you know who these men are?
We know who the 6 or 8 that were in there are, but we haven't identified the remains. And as I said, we're working towards that with re-imaging and consulting with experts.
Can you help us understand, obviously this is a very complicated thing and you can't go into too much detail, but what kind of thing can you actually learn from these images? You can't go in and forensically comb through the bodies, but what can you learn from taking that picture?
I'm actually not going to go into that level of detail, sorry.
Can you tell if the bodies are intact?
I'm not going to speculate on that, sorry, Rebecca.
And could you just tell us what the reaction from the families was?
We've been in close contact with the family. I'm not going to speak for the families. I know that they have got media releases and media comment to make, so I'm not going to speak for them. I don't think I'm in the position where I should be commenting for families. I think I'll leave that to the families to do.
Is there the possibility of discovering more bodies as you continue your work?
Well, as I said, we still haven't finished the boreholes yet, so there is a possibility that there might be more. I can't rule that out.
Has this made the investigation longer at all, this discovery?
No, I don't think so. No. Thanks very much.